Continuing the trend of automating monotonous tasks in our home, I think robot lawnmowers are set to become just as popular as robot vacuums. For some, maintaining their lawn is an enjoyable hobby, but for others, it's a chore that often can't be avoided or done at all. In this video, I'll be taking my first look at a robot lawnmower, specifically the T1000 Plus from a company called RoboUp. The 1000 in the model name signifies it's capable of mapping and mowing an area of up to 1000 square meters, or a quarter of an acre. They sent me this mower a little while back, and to be honest, I hesitated on setting it up and testing it as I thought it was going to be difficult, cumbersome, and time consuming. Stick around to see my first impressions and experience with the T1000 Plus, and spoiler alert, this mower is actually pretty impressive. When I received the T1000 Plus delivery, my first thoughts were this is a lot bigger and heavier than I thought it would be. The box in total weighs 21 kilos, so something to bear in mind when receiving it. Inside the box you have the user manual, some QR codes and spare cutting blades, the power transformer and a 10 meter long extension cord for power, the RTK receiver and extension cable for that, some poles and a stake to mount the RTK receiver on, 6 ground screws, the charging base dock, and of course the mower itself. The mower is a rectangular boxy design with 2 main drive wheels at the rear and 2 semi-floating wheels at the front. There is a sensor on the right hand side for auto mapping and tracking along a boundary edge. The front has the charging contacts, the AI Smart Eye obstacle avoidance array, and 2 headlights, allowing the mower to work at night. On top is a big stop button that halts the mower instantly, and there is a black and white display with 4 buttons to control the mower if you didn't want to use the app. Underneath is a single cutting disc with 3 double-sided blades. The disc rotates in both directions to make use of both cutting edges of the blades. The cutting disc also raises and lowers electronically to give you a cut from 60mm down to 30mm. Setting up the T1000 Plus initially was pretty straightforward. Find a place for the charging dock to live, fix it into the ground with the screws. Side note, the ground was a bit tough for a couple of the screws here. Then assemble the poles together and mount the RTK station on top, and then plug it into power. Turn on the mower and connect it through the app. Then it's just a matter of waiting for the RTK station to get a strong GPS lock before beginning mapping. And this is where I had a little bit of an issue. It seems the placement of the RTK station away from obstacles is really quite important. I thought I had placed it far enough away from the garage, but it wouldn't get a GPS lock unfortunately. So I unscrewed the dock from the ground, moved the whole thing over a metre or so, found a softer piece of ground for all 6 screws, powered it back on, and within a couple of minutes the mower displayed the RTK status with a tick, and it was good to start mapping. There are 2 mapping modes, auto and manual. Auto is for where your yard has defined boundaries with either fencing or raised garden edging, and for manual mapping you mount an included ruler to the top of the robot to ensure a small distance from the perimeter, and through the app you drive the mower around the boundary of your yard to create the map. This was pretty easy to do, but I do wish the on-screen controls were a little less sensitive, as it was often tough to maintain a straight path for the boundary. You can map multiple zones, and then you draw a channel between the zones for the mower to use to pass through. Once the map was done, I sent it out to mow, and without a doubt this was the quietest mowing experience I've heard. For my initial testing, I left small sticks and obstacles on the yard to see how it would react and navigate around those. For the most part, it actually did a great job. The mower methodically passes up and down the yard, and then when it encounters an obstacle, will pause the cutting while it figures out the dimension of the obstacle, marks it on the map, and keeps cutting around it. In this case here, there are 9 raised garden beds that it had to recognise and navigate around. It did take quite some time to figure this out on its own, so in a future mow, I decided to manually map these as no-go zones for cutting efficiency. It also recognised the dirt patches from where garden beds were removed, and chose to mark those as obstacles to avoid as well. If the AI Smart Eye system detects humans or pets, it will stop cutting and go and mow a different area of the lawn and return later. Once the bulk of the lawn is cut, the T1000 Plus then cuts the perimeter anti-clockwise and then back again clockwise to complete the job. The first mow took a little over 3.5 hours, but I think a lot of that time was spent working out the garden bed obstacles. During mowing, once the battery gets down to 20%, the mower returns back to the charging dock and resumes mowing where it left off around 90 minutes later once it's back at 90% charge. For me, it didn't matter how long it took to mow the yard because I didn't need to supervise it. I could be doing anything else other than mowing. Once you have your map set up, it's really quite simple to use. You just go in the app, press the mow button, and off it goes. Overall, I found the navigation to be great. The only spot it missed was when I had a camera mounted on top for filming and it upset the GPS signal a little. Otherwise, when working in the yard and underneath these trees and around the garden beds, the navigation was flawless. At one point, I thought it was going to get stuck around the legs of this table, but it worked itself out. Not once did I have to manually intervene after it got stuck somewhere. Every time it could figure its own way out of a situation, and I think that's very important for a robot mower you can set and forget. It did take quite a bit of time to map out the obstacles, but I think by manually adding no-go zones, you can greatly improve the mowing efficiency. Mowing itself seemed great too. The clippings are left behind after cutting those, so if this is an issue for you, you may need to go back over the lawn with a rake after the mow is done. The blades ran over some small sticks, but seemed to keep working okay, and they did run over this lemon, leaving behind some pretty impressive slice marks. It's recommended to replace the blades every 400 hours, and you have 3 additional sets supplied in the box. It's best to pick up small sticks and obstacles off the lawn, before mowing of course, and this will prolong the life of the blades. As shown earlier, the mower features a pair of headlights, and this allows it to run in the dark while still avoiding obstacles. I tried mowing of an evening and it seemed to work just as well as in the day. The T1000 Plus has an IPX6 rating, which means after mowing you can simply hose it off to clean it. Gentle pressure is fine, but a power washer might cause some issues. The app is easy enough to use, with each option generally offering an explanation of what it does. You can edit the map to set no-go zones and set cutting heights of different zones of your lawn. The T1000 Plus has the ability to electronically raise and lower the cutting height from 30 to 60 millimeters, and you can also let it determine the direction of the cut or choose a specific angle if you prefer. You can create schedules, start a spot cut, remote control the mower and activate rain mode. The mower has a sensor on top that detects when it's raining and can be set to return home and not go back out for a predetermined time frame after the rain clears. You can see the life remaining of the blades, activate the anti-theft mode and also disable mowing completely. Speaking of anti-theft, once the mower is taken more than 8 meters outside of its boundary, it will constantly sound a noise to signify it's being moved. The alarm noise isn't overly loud, but you do need to input a PIN code to stop the alarm. A couple of things I didn't like about the app is I couldn't find out how to edit the boundary of your map. I actually think you need to redo the manual mapping of your boundary if you want to amend the perimeter. And I also would have liked to see some settings or a bit more detail related to the AI obstacle avoidance as well. The app has been stable though, with no crashes, and for the most part does everything it needs. So who is this for? Well, anyone that has a yard and is too time poor to mow it, or simply doesn't have the ability or desire to push a lawnmower around. During winter, you might only need to mow every couple of weeks, but during summer here in Australia, it needs to be done at least weekly to keep on top of it. Instead, you could set the T1000 Plus to mow every single day and have that perfect, maintained lawn with no effort at all. Like I said at the start of the video, I was initially hesitant about setting up this robot mower as I thought it would be difficult and time consuming. In reality, it does take a little bit of time for the initial setup, but it's probably no more time than it would take to mow your lawn once, and then once set up, it's almost set and forget. You might just need to clear any sticks or fallen branches and do your edges once in a while. I did have the initial setup issue of not having a clear enough view of the sky for the RTK station. That was probably my fault, and I would like the ability to fine-tune the boundary in the app, but apart from those issues, I would definitely recommend it based on real-world experience so far. If you have any questions about the T1000 Plus from RoboUp, leave a comment below and I'll get back to you. There are links in the description on where to buy one, and as always, thanks for watching.